All right, we're going to get moving here with today's session as 11 o'clock has hit my clock. My name is Contral Armour. I'm the director of the Pennsylvania Statewide After School Youth Development Network. I'm pleased to be part of today's session and will be the moderator for today's session. So without any further delay, I'm going to quickly introduce today's presenter, Neferteri Strickland. Neferteri Strickland is a cyber technology strategist, military officer, and adjunct professor who aligns with her communities through emerging technology initiatives in K through 20 STEAM education. That's science, technology, engineering, arts, and math. Nefertari's current projects include establishing the K-12 cybersecurity career ambassador program with the National Institute of Standards and Technology's NICE community of interest, and serving as the 2024-25 Hobbs School of Business Innovative Center Director. At the start of the 2020 COVID-19 pandemic, Neferteri launched Teachers and the Design to Disrupt community to support education stakeholders navigating the future of education. She, her loving husband, and two amazing children reside in the greater Philadelphia region, where she served as an adjunct professor in blockchain technology at St. Joe's University and a lecturer at the Wharton School of Business. Let's give a warm welcome to Neferteri. Neferteri, take it to you.
Thank you, Contral. I'm always a little taken back by the learning objectives, the bio, and it's like, okay, live up to expectations, no pressure, right? So I want to say good morning to all of you all because it's still morning. I hope that you have a cup of joe or tea or something to hold you over. Melvina, good morning. I see in the chat. Do you all mind for me, if you can see and hear me, just putting on a 1 in the chat? I'd like to see the delay on the response. And while you do that, oh, they're coming in, great. So my Comcast internet is strong this morning. I am going to share my screen and start off really just by giving a shout out. Congratulations to Team 321 of the First Robotics community, the Robo-Lancers out of Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. This is what out of school time excellence looks like. Full disclosure, I'm on the board for the Philadelphia Robotics Coalition. They're a 501c3 that provides teams like the Robo-Lancers, over 100 teams in the Philadelphia School District, with support to participate in FIRST Robotics. And so the Robo-Lancers have brought home the World Championship. Where does a team like that go from world champions, right? It's one of the things I'm wrapping my head around. How do we take what they've done out of school time and integrate that in the STEM activities that they're doing in the classroom, tracing it to curriculum, right? STEM education. And that's what the focus of this 1 hour webinar is. I will give you a note of caution. 1 hour is never enough time, right? So again, I want to say thank you to the team Contral Armour, as well as the Poseidon team and IU16 for inviting me to host this session, as well as a second session that I'll host May 22nd. So if you hadn't had an opportunity to register for that, we'll give you an opportunity and a link to do so before the end of this session. In May, we'll talk about the role of technology in STEM education because it's evolving faster than our instructional material can keep up with, right? So we'll look at some of the future trends in STEM education, identify ways for your learning community to plan to stay ahead of the technology adoption curve. What is a technology adoption curve, Neferteri? Well, I'm glad you asked. This is a technology adoption curve. So think and ask yourself, are you one of those people that want to be the first to have it? You want to tell everyone else about it? You're on the left side of this curve. You're an innovator, maybe even an early adopter. If you're fighting tooth and nail to keep a smart board out of your classroom, you just like the way the chalk dust feels, you're on the right side. you're a laggard, right? And there's no wrong place to be on this curve. Just being aware of where you are is really important because you know what you're attempting to develop in a young person. And being able to leverage technology, use the technology to support the learning outcomes is really important. So this presentation today is going to be delivered in 3 parts, each with a quote. Slow is smooth, tip of spear, left of bang. I see some smiles. Right, these are our military quotes. If you don't know, one of the hats that I wear, because I wear many hats and many pairs of shoes, is I serve in the 28th Infantry Division as a communications officer. I come to the table as a mother, the soldier that I spoke of, an academic, as Contrell read in my bio, and a technologist. And it's really important for me to help you understand where I'm coming from. Because in 2020, I founded an education consultancy called Teachers and I want you to notice the ampersand. It denotes collaboration because we believe that Pennsylvania deserves a world-class Pennsylvania-educated workforce. And we're working to make that belief a reality by providing access, connection, and sustainment. So now that you know a bit about me, I'd love to learn a little more about you. If you don't mind dropping in the chat, you've already said where in the Commonwealth you are. So your name, your school district, and whether you're a Steeler or an Eagles fan, because this is important. Contrell didn't ask for this, but I need to know. Keep your enemies close, right? And waiting for that chat response. I see the typing going on, so you're at least participating, yes? And someone's gonna put like giants. It always happens. Very good. See my SJU folks, the hawk will never die. Very good. I appreciate the participation. So let's start with slow is smooth and smooth is fast. This is a seemingly counterintuitive quote. The phrase holds a world of wisdom that can drastically enhance productivity and performance across many disciplines and domains, to include business, sports, even professional development. So why not education? At its core, the saying slow is smooth and smooth is fast emphasizes the importance of accuracy, consistency, and a controlled pace in executing tasks. There's a popular belief that the fastest route to success is the most direct, but that's not the case. It's really about not rushing heading into the technology adoption curve. It's about maintaining a rhythm, a smoothness in operation that naturally leads to increasing speed and efficiency. Smooth is fast. So I want you to think about your technology adoption, first to habit or tooth and nail, the smartboard, the iPad, and now generative AI. So what's the rush? I ask you this as a mother, I ask you this as a soldier, an academic, a technologist, but specifically as a cybersecurity practitioner. We're addressing a workforce shortage. And as you'll see from the bullets on the screen, there are 3.5 million jobs that are unfulfilled right now in cybersecurity, and in part to an increased demand, as well as a lack of interest from young people. And they're crediting that from a lack of exposure to cybersecurity career pathways and relevance in STEM curriculum. So in order to address this shortage at the secondary level, we've been working on a couple of pilot projects that I'm excited to share with you today, as well as invite you to participate. So our next quote, left of bang. Being right of bang is synonymous with being reactive and only responding to threats after they've made themselves known. Left of bang means taking a proactive approach to possible threats by making a decision based on observation and intuition to prevent the bad from happening, the undesirable from happening, right? So think about the most undesirable thing that has happened to us in recent history, COVID-19, and the disruption that that caused every sector of our economy, but most specifically, education. So if you could use the chat for me, in what way was education disrupted? In what way was out of school time disrupted during the pandemic that you experienced? Virtual learning, no access to university labs. Yes. And I see, and there was virtual learning again. Yes. And I had a sophomore in high school and a fifth grader at the time. And I still see the echo, the impact that that disruption, those things, how to behave in school, socialization. Yes, I see how that consequence still is showing up and showing itself, right? So I want to make sure that we talk about how to capitalize off of disruption. I don't know if you woke up to the reports that the highest level of government has approved that ByteDance and TikTok be sold. I can't tell you the number of educators and students that are on that platform. There's going to be disruption, right? So are we right or left of bang? And in the case of this social media platform, it has cybersecurity implications. So how can we capitalize on opportunities like this to understand the interdisciplinary connections between cybersecurity and STEM education? How can we apply cybersecurity principles to design and implement interdisciplinary projects that use the timeliness of this, as well as cultivate critical thinking and creativity through reflective practice? Left the bang. So before we go further, I want to identify who the next parts of this presentation isn't for. We have three verticals with regard to cybersecurity education and the integration of cyber into STEM education. The practitioner, just like a medical professional, has an occupation. They practice medicine. They practice defending the network. These are your IT professionals or your chief information officer at your institution. And then there are those that are adjacent. They're not the children you see on the picture there, but they're your other functional areas that need to use two-factor authentication, that need to take the training annually for cybersecurity. The area and the group, the vertical that I'd like to focus on is all the way to the right, the pathway. This is the young person that needs to be exposed to cybersecurity practices, principle, possible certification pathways in your technical high schools. Right? This is who I'd like to focus on. And I'd like them to consider a career in cybersecurity for these reasons. It's a dynamic industry. There's practically unlimited growth potential right now. You'll never be bored in this field if you keep growing and learning. You get to solve problems and develop unique solutions. The pay is not horrible, I'll say that. And it's an opportunity to really help at a time when help is needed. When threats are unknown until they are known, we want to stay left of bang. And annually, we have a market indicator or a call to action. It's called Cybersecurity Awareness Month every October. It's established in 2004. It's co-led by CISA, the Cybersecurity and Infrastructure Security Agency. Last year, they kicked off a new year-round theme, Secure Our World. And this gives us an opportunity to integrate the 7 cybersecurity-related sub-concepts from CSTA's computer science education standards. So if you are engaged in classroom education, if your school has a computer science program, there are 7 standards that can be tapped into in order to support cybersecurity education. If you are an out-of-school time provider, looking to these 7 concepts will help you trace what you're doing out of the classroom to what's happening inside of the classroom. This is 4 of the 7. And you've heard these before, you've seen these before. Okay. Strong passwords, complex passwords. Use uppercase, lowercase, camel case. Okay. Thinking about encryption. The remaining 3. So 2024 is going to present you with an opportunity to join in on Cybersecurity Awareness Month. So if you do nothing else all year round, Hour of Code, right? And now doing something in honor of Cybersecurity Awareness Month. The more you know, right? So using your chat function, I'd love to know a little bit more about who's in the virtual room. How do you STEM? Do you align with science, technology, engineering, and mathematics, whether you're in the classroom or out of school time? I'm going to talk about technology, spoiler alert, but I'd like some additional situational awareness. Technology, I think that's going to be weighty on this one, right? Thank you, Rachel. And Rachel, is it STEM, science, technology, engineering, or mathematics, OST? Oh, and. Zach, do you also do anything with arts? That's like my new area that I'm venturing into to see if I can turn STEM into STEAM effectively. Thank you, Deanna. Heavy into science. Robotics, Rachel, yes. Very good. So the next quote, actually the last quote of the 3. My third and final quote is really personal. The tip of the spear. This is a person or a group of people that's the first to do something considered difficult or dangerous, especially a group of soldiers. I became familiar with this quote when my mother, who served 20 plus years in the United States Army as an air traffic controller, told me that I was tip of the spear as a high school senior when I received my private pilot's license before I received my driver's license. It was an amazing experience. It was based off of a grant program, though. So when the grant money ran out, so did my ability to afford rental fees and fuel, right? And it's not to say that it hasn't supported subsequently the experience that I have and the person that I am today, but thinking about how we introduce programming and sustain that programming is really important. Thinking about how a young person has these points of exposure to science, technology, engineering, mathematics, what next? How do they and where do they converge and intersect should be by design, not by accident, not by happenstance, right? So I'd like to direct your attention now to onboarding to develop not just a cybersecurity education exposure opportunity, or even a program that's focused on cyber, but a community-supported program that leverages cybersecurity education to sustain your current programming. So you can become tip of spear, right? And to become tip of spear, you need access. So cybersecurity practitioners across the country, like myself, have come together under the National Institutes of Standards and Technology's National Initiative for Cybersecurity Education to create a career ambassador program focused on cybersecurity. Now, you can access this program nationally, regionally, or locally. So locally, we host events. This is an event that we hosted April 4th at the McGuire Art Museum at St. Joe's University Hawk Hill campus. The subject matter was telecom hacking, also known as phreaking, where you use the telephonics systems, the tones, the frequencies, to manipulate Ma Bell or AT&T. So we had functioning telephones on site. We had, let's call them troubleshooters, not hackers, but troubleshooters on site. They gave a historical lecture. And then we had a roundtable discussion because there are a lot of things that seem threatening to expose a young person to, because once you teach them the skills, the dark arts, they're theirs to do with what they will. And that can be scary. But payphones don't seem so scary, right? And increasingly, there are fewer and fewer payphones across the country. The interdisciplinary or the STEAM focus was there because we talked about the telephone as a lifeline. I have a cell phone. I'm confident that all of you all do as well. So you don't need payphones, but there are individuals in our society that rely on payphones. And so there was this opportunity to have a human-centered conversation while everyone was learning something. Right? Upcoming opportunity to make contact locally, working with the Project Management Institute, along with their K-12 program lead that has a program called Meet a Project Manager. We're hosting a conversation at Penn State Great Valley, the impact of artificial intelligence, what every project manager should know. So again, local touch points to get engaged, get involved. If you're in the Philadelphia area, this Saturday, there's a Cyber Day that's being hosted by the Urban Technology Project, along with the School District of Philadelphia, a full day of activities from 9 to 4. Our career ambassador will be speaking at 9 a.m. Really come in, learn about careers in cybersecurity. They'll have panel discussions, hands-on activities, workshop, networking opportunities. If your wheels are not already turning about how your robotics program can become a part of this, how your out-of-school time program focused on computer science or art can become a part of this, I'd love to take a deeper dive and give an example. So going back to our world champions, where do they go from world champions? Tip of spear is my thought, right? So with robotics specifically as our use case here, the recent digital revolution has led robots to become integrated more than ever into different domains like agriculture, medical, industrial, military, law enforcement, logistics, even education. Robots are devoted to serve, facilitate, and enhance the human life. However, many incidents have occurred, leading to serious injuries and devastating impacts, such as unnecessary loss of human life. Unintended accidents will always take place, but one caused by malicious attacks is something that we can work towards preventing. This includes malicious hijacking and controlling of robots and causing serious economic and financial loss. There are 498 first robotics teams across the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania. So chances are there's one near you. I propose that programs like this adopt cybersecurity education because of its relevance. It's adjacent. And in order for these young people to grow into the engineers that create the autonomous robots of tomorrow, we need to integrate secure by design thinking with them early while they're learning the first principles of engineering. So we'll have our second year of an immersion opportunity. Last year, we worked with middle schoolers from Gompers K-8 school. They came in. We have a humanoid robot at St. Joe's University by the name of Pepper, which has been rebranded or renamed Iggy. And we introduced the students to drones, esports, virtual reality, and ChatGPT. Remember, this was summer 2023. So it was bleeding edge at the time, real tip of spear stuff. This year, we're going to be housed in the former Barnes Museum. It's the Francis M. McGuire Art Museum. And so we're going to, again, look towards that integration of art or STEAM education to talk about cybersecurity. Virtual reality will be a central space to this, teaching our educators and our students how to use CAD in order to develop 3D models. And again, everything has to be designed securely, or at least with the thought of security. Right? So if you're not local, if you can't attend this, we do want to engage you to develop programming that'll support you. So I'd like to introduce you to Pepper. There should be audio on this video. If I start to play it and there's no audio, you have to tell me in the chat and not let me run a 2-minute long video. Okay, let's give it a shot.
Hello everyone and welcome to St. Joseph's University. My name is Pepper. Nice to meet you all. You can touch the screen to start an activity. Hello, my name is Pepper, a humanoid robot developed by SoftBank Robotics. I am designed to interact with humans and provide various services in different environments, such as homes, businesses, and public spaces. I am equipped with advanced sensors, cameras, microphones, and speakers, allowing me to perceive and respond to its surroundings. I have the ability to recognize faces, interpret emotions, engage in conversation, and even engage in simple forms of artificial intelligence. I can move autonomously on wheels and have the capability to gesture and use my voice to communicate with people. I am proof that there are innovative technologies vying for the attention of technology users. My friends in the National Cybersecurity Ambassador Initiative seek to create a national network of employers, industry representatives, labor and workforce development organizations, program sponsors, educators, nonprofit and community-based organizations, and other stakeholders to serve as champions for expanding and diversifying the cybersecurity workforce with a priority to attract women, minorities, veterans, persons with disabilities, and other underrepresented populations. With your help, we will aim to do 3 things. Number 1, inspire, engage, and inform society. Number 2, demystify careers in cybersecurity. And number 3, develop a highly skilled and diverse workforce. If you'd like to learn more, reach out to one of our team members to join the effort.
So if you'd like to learn more, reach out to join the effort. I'm the person. So if you're interested in riffing for just a moment, use the chat feature, and I'd love for you to unmute your mic. If you have a program that this is relevant to, that would be amazing. If you're curious and you want to identify if there's a touch point that maybe you can put in place or explore during the 2024-2025 school year, I'd love to give us the space and opportunity to do it, since this presentation is a real small, close-knit community. So I'll give a moment for you to use the hand raise, and then I know you'd like to speak. I see some mics unmuting, which is a good sign. Aisha, did you unmuted your mic? Are we going to engage? Okay, Rachel Brenneman, tell me what your thoughts are.
Neferteri, we're having some kind of difficulties in the background. So there's like 2 or 3 people that are signed up under my name, Rachel Brenneman. I'm not sure how that happened. So I was just asking people if they could go to their corner there when there's 3 dots and see if they can rename themselves. I was able to do one, but they said they weren't able to do it. Anyway, I'm sorry. So whoever is responding to her, if you could just respond to her. They're not Rachel though, so I'll do my best. Sorry about that.
Technology is never perfect. I do see one in the chat. So I do not know what the acronym stands for, so you'll have to help me, but BBAEP will have a summer program, is a Zoom with children an option, most certainly. If there's nothing else, the pandemic has provided us with less resistance to using virtual to connect. And what that has done is provide us with access to individuals globally. I don't know if you all saw the Transformer trailer off of the International Space Station. We're like essentially Zooming with the space station now. So good stuff. What I'd love to do is, and I'm going to provide this information again in the chat, Neferteri at teachersand.com. So what that Zoom session could look like is having a cybersecurity practitioner or an educator or even a student that is pursuing cybersecurity education Zoom in to your program to ensure that we're tailoring it so it's relevant to what you all are doing. Cybersecurity it can be really, really heavy, daunting, tedious, detailed work. But if you have something that is important or you have something that is of value, you take the time to protect it, right? You take the time to do the risk assessment and protect it. So I see in the chat, Summit Early Learning would be interested. Wonderful. I just dropped my email address in the chat. What do you all do at Summer Early Learning? I'm assuming it's maybe a pre-K through 5th grade age. Blind assumption. And I'll wait to see if that response comes in before and after school summer camp programming. Is there anything that you all currently do there that's STEM focused? 6th through 12th grade. ECS has an OST program in the Fentonville section of Philadelphia, my backyard. I'm totally with you. One teacher at the school works with our 3rd to 5th graders and run robotics. Perfect. Perfect. Yes. We'd love to see that. Rachel, you raised your hand. Okay. We have a standalone makerspace in our intermediate school plus makerspace.
Sorry.
No worries. Please.
So I just realized that you're calling me Rachel because I'm one of the people who's been renamed Rachel. So my name is Melvina, and I'm the director of ECS's out of school time program. So I just wanted to chime in to say that we are currently running a small scale robotics club, and I really want to brainstorm ideas to grow that, because although it's 3rd to 5th grade students, we know start them while they're young so they can continue to have the interest and, continue in the field. So, I mean, I would love to talk more with you offline in regards to opportunities for upper elementary school students.
Absolutely. And you made such an important point about starting students early. I can't emphasize that enough. Thinking about when you introduce students to programming. If you are a professional software developer, to get someone to do a code review, just to check, kind of like, editing or revising your paper before you turn it in, 1 or 2 drafts, can be really hard to unlearn those bad habits, right? So as we're introducing them to generative AI, like there's as you all know, two schools of thought. No, we're not using ChatGPT in the classroom. Or yes, we want to put it in everything, right? And so thinking about how we securely introduce them to, if nothing more, just privacy, the principles around information privacy is important, right? And so those are the types of things we think about as cybersecurity practitioners. So in the chat, I just dropped the Eventbrite link for that Cyber Day. So if you are in the Philadelphia area and like to attend that, you can do so. So no other features came in the chat. What I'd love to do, and this is because you all shared that there are some robotics programs that are already planned for the summer. I'd like you to use this QR code. And this just provides you with some meat points for supporting buy-in, where robotics education supports active learning in terms of the approach, pedagogical approach, transfer of knowledge, long-term interest in STEM. And it teaches our students skills that center on critical thinking, creative problem solving, and collaboration. And so that's just a Google Doc that has some fidelity to those points as you're drafting your grants or your proposals, pitches, presentations. Feel free to use the information that I shared. So the Cybersecurity Career Ambassador Program, to give you a little bit more context, again, by the NICE program, which is the National Initiative for Cybersecurity Education. We follow the CISA breakdown in terms of geographic area. So if you're in Pennsylvania, Delaware, Maryland, West Virginia, or Virginia, we're all clustered in Region 3. We really want to not just get those that are involved in the school day knowledge transfer with young people, but ensure that the learning continues, that out of school time programming makes what they learn in the classroom meaningful, relevant, right? And then what they do in the community by way of cybersecurity education, innovation, technology, those lessons follow them, right? So there are 3 ways that I'd like you to look at tapping in. When we talked about the practitioner adjacent careers or the pathway, which is our focus, I'd like you to think about the practitioners at the school, right? Or that may run the network that your nonprofit is housed in. Their ability to defend the network will be improved if they tap into this program. Students will become good custodians of the network, even if they're not going to major in computer science in college. But if they do want to become a cybersecurity practitioner, there's this chicken or egg scenario that we have that makes it hard for young people to get their first job. An entry-level position in cybersecurity, often the description requires that they have experience to get experience. It's really interesting. We're trying to figure out how to overcome that. Our solution or our way ahead of attempting to crack that is giving them experience where they are. And so if we can tap into the technical schools or in the classroom or the out-of-school time programs, even if it's robotics, it's a great way to approach it. So in the chat, how do you see yourself tapping in to cyber? Supporting practitioners, that IT guy or gal that you say, I need you to allow this URL through. Is that the person? Is it the English teacher? Or the local science center that you take the kids to school trips on where there's an opportunity? Or the direct pathway? We know not every school has a computer science program. So then it goes without saying that every school does not have a cybersecurity education program, but it's something that we can work towards. So in the chat, you see yourself tapping in practitioner, adjacent, or pathway. Talia, if you say space again, I'm gonna like send you flowers. We can have a whole conversation around what's happening in space education right now. Yes. Okay, space with terrariums. Got it. Yes. Adjacent. Factor IO, PLC controllers. That's an amazing program. If we can get programmable logic controllers in the hands of students and them to get ahead on that, I believe one of the next things is actually the Internet of Things. When this buzz around AI kind of starts to fade, the smart things, the refrigerators, the washer and dryer, the connected echo in your home is going to become the buzz. Oh, there's those PLCs. I'm sorry, I know your name's not Rachel, but I'm looking in the chat under the name Rachel and I see the PLCs. Wonderful. It's wonderful. So before we open this up to questions, I want to highly encourage that you come back, join us May 22nd, where we can take a deeper dive. Now that we've level set, we've baselined that you want to support or tap in with an adjacent approach to cybersecurity education, you understand that there are 7 sub-concepts that trace to CS standards that you can use. You understand that we have over 400 FIRST robotics teams across the Commonwealth that you can tap into locally and introduce cybersecurity concepts into that technology domain of STEM. We can talk about how we can do this effectively, programmatically, and think about some of the ways to fund it. Right? Some of the ways to fund it. So the QR code should take you to the Poseidon website. And I know that there is a link that will be dropped in the chat for you to register for this session as well. If you're in the area and you're interested in joining me this summer at the Francis McGuire Art Museum for STEAM education focused on cybersecurity, but there'll be a whole lot of art involved in it as well, we invite you to do so. And then lastly, aside from the email address that I provided you with, the website for Teachers and where we have a contact form. So if you have something detailed, you can use this QR code to reach out to us here, tap in, and stay connected. So I'm going to stop sharing my screen and take questions, comments, thoughts.
All right, feel free to unmute yourself to ask any question that you might have right now or thoughts.
It might be too soon to make this joke, but Rachel's got her hand raised again, so.
I'm not sure if Rachel is myself. I'm going to take a stab at this.
Rachel.
My name's Glenn Williams. I'm at Harrisburg University. I like what you said, and I'm wondering how deep into the security concepts should we try to go when we're introducing the ideas to a high schooler and even some freshmen?
So you said Glenn?
Yes, Glenn Williams.
Harrisburg University, you all are doing amazing things. So let me just say that first. Hats off, especially with data. So broad or deep? I would say a lot of it has to do with the expectation for them to retain the information is really important. Do you have the capacity with your programming to reinforce the learning so they can recall it? Do you have opportunities for them to apply it? Or do you need to stay high level, broad, introductory? And then think about the design where they can have additional reinforcing experiences. It's like cramming for a test. You can hold it in until you don't need it anymore and then it just dribbles out the side of your ear. Is that helpful, Glenn?
Yes, that was very good. Thank you. And I'll think about that.
Of course. We have time. And I can always sing a song. So there's a resource while you're thinking about your question that I'd love to share with you. And Glenn, are you aware of it? No, I don't think I am. CyberSeek, and I'm going to go to the chat and take a look at what you just shared momentarily. But there's a tool for geographic relevance. It's called CyberSeek that allows you to, and this is a direct message to someone, I apologize. It allows you to identify the job openings where you are. So those entry-level positions that require a CISSP certification and 10 years of experience, right? You'll start to see the types of experiences, education, knowledge, skills, and abilities that we're looking for young people, and then where those vacancies are. There's also a tool for you to see what their career pathways can look like over time as they develop, right? So check the chat, take a look at CyberSeek. And I'm taking a look at, I registered for cyber.org EdCon. So definitely familiar with cyber.org, not familiar with the conference, which I'm checking out right now. And then there was another. Oh, that looks cool. Yes, so the badge is CISA. Region 3, that is who kind of governs that. And it's critical infrastructure. So schools are actually a subcategory of critical infrastructure. The physical buildings, it's a government building. So when we think training for active shooters, the type of sensors that they put up to detect and try to prevent any loss of life, like those systems are secured by, and the controls or regulations by the National Institutes of Standards and Technology, but overseen by CISA. So that's great. And I'll take a deeper look into that. For your situational awareness, there is a K-12 NICE conference in June and then one in December. The one in December is highly focused on educators. Dropping in the chat now. The June conference, don't be upset, it's in Vegas. Don't be upset. And then the link now, and this is December 9th and 10th in San Antonio. And I see that there was a share in the chat for growing programs. Thank you for that.
Can I comment on that GROW program?
Absolutely, Glenn.
And for everybody on the call, Phoenix Contact is a global company, very good, very solid, dealing with automation and several other aspects of the economy. They've made an attempt to try and bring some of that advanced technology to the high school and to the middle school. And they've started an initiative both here and in Europe and around in Asia as well, that is aimed at helping young people think big about what their future is. So the link that I put in the chat is probably worth checking out for yourself and to see if they have some type of opportunity for you in your own particular area. So there are companies that are aware of the shortage in technical skills and the need to have a diverse employee population in order to deal with competitive situations, and they fund it. They provide technology support and other types of things that are age appropriate. So it's a good program. We're tapping into it here in Harrisburg, PA, and it has helped send some of our young people over to Germany to present their ideas. So I share that with you in the spirit of helping out.
Thank you so much, Glenn. So Contralt, are we going to take additional questions and comments, or do you need to do anything before we close out the session?
No. If there's no other questions right now in the chat or anyone want to unmute themselves, we want to thank our presenter today, Neferteri, for her presentation. We look forward to bringing Neferteri back May 22nd. She shared a slide there with you, talking about the role of technology in STEM and future trends in STEM education. So we are excited to bring her back. If we want to show a little bit of our appreciation with our reaction button right now to thank Neferteri for her presentation, be greatly appreciated. Definitely use the chat as well. You'll also see in the chat, I dropped the session evaluation. Again, completion of this will trigger anyone on here to collect Act 48. And even if you're not here to collect Act 48, we really highly encourage you to complete that evaluation so that we make sure we're providing the best possible experience with you in this session and in this virtual space. So if there's no other questions right now, I'm not missing anything, am I?
And Charles, well, I think there are some messages that come through the chat. They're direct to me, but I think it just defaults to that. So there's one that I would love to share as we close out, because Glenn had mentioned the need for diversity in the technical fields, and we all know the statistics and why it's needed. Some say the future is female. If that is in fact true in technology, she will be modeling. So if you plan to attend the May 22nd session, I'll be talking about the movement cognitively from design thinking to systems thinking and a technique called model-based systems engineering, where we have this model of our programs. What are the outcomes? Think logic model, but then add some fidelity for the different stakeholders that you want to support your program, for the teachers that you want to adopt some of the activities you're doing in out-of-school programming in the classroom. So when the kids come to you after school, they're prepared. Think flipped classroom in the community, right? So the comment in the chat, or the question in the chat to me, says, how do you approach the stereotype, if you will, around a cybersecurity person in the dark room in the basement alone, staring at a screen all day? What kinds of breaks for the mind and eyes do you promote with large amounts of screen times in careers? What do we need for educational opportunities outside of liberal arts, university degree that are available to students? I think about something as highly technical as computer vision. The ontology and, let's say, the bank of vocabulary that's needed for an AI algorithm to be able to be intelligent with regard to the world around us. And to teach a young person that logic, to help introduce them to terms and concepts as though they were in a Masters of Fine Arts program so they can engage with the AI, is putting a piece of art in front of them and talking about the period in which the art was developed and the techniques that are used, the brush strokes, from a bank of vocabulary. And that at this moment may or may not resonate with you, but there's a way that we train computers, the patience and the amount of information that we're giving algorithms and automated systems, that we're not showing the same level of patience with our young people. Right? And I think that there's a bridge to be built. So I look forward to visiting you all again on May 22nd, and I hope that you'll join us. Thank you to the team at IU16 and Poseidon for putting on this amazing webinar series. Have a good afternoon.
Great. Thank you, Neferteri. Thank you, everyone. We'll see you back here on May 8th for the third of 6 webinar series focused on STEM. Have a great rest of your week and talk to you soon.